This is the Emotional Horsemanship Podcast. I am Lockie Phillips, your host. Emotional Horsemanship coaches deeply caring horse people to train emotionally balanced horses with science, empathy, and feel. And this is the podcast dedicated to exploring all of that within. We try to innovate horse training that puts the horse first. Season 2 of this podcast brings us solo episodes, special guests, and small groups of guests as we discuss horses, horse training, the equestrian industry, and the big, beautiful ideas that horses inspire in us always. My guest on the podcast today is my friend Alexa Linton. Alexa Linton hosts the Whole Horse podcast. She's a friend, she's a colleague, she's a collaborator. She's been here before, and we met to discuss what was at that time her impending possibility of landing in her forever home with her horses. We discussed the liminal spaces in transitional seasons of our life and how different people will approach that in different ways. Thank you for joining me, Alexa, and I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm sitting here with one of my favorite people in the world, Alexa Linton. Thank you so much for being a friend, being a colleague, and coming back on the podcast for a second time. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, I am happy to be here and honored to be here. The how are you question is loaded, but yes, I am here and grateful.
The longer I do this work, the more I feel like a Rorschach ink blot, that no matter what I say or do, I'm basically a walking question of, and what do you see here, right? And then everything I say is loaded. Doesn't matter if I just say, look, the sun's out today. Someone says, is that loaded? Well, the sun's not out for me. Does that mean he doesn't like my mood? You know, and goes on and on and on. But yeah, we kind of want to talk about change.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yuck. Change.
Like so important and amazing and necessary, and also, so challenging.
You're in the middle of a change right now. Another
massive one. Massive, yeah.
But this might be one of the most profound changes of your adult life. Is that too much of a grand statement?
No, I think this is like the leap for the forever home is what we're in right now.
So describe for people who don't know what's going on.
Okay, so here's the tea. We are, since the summertime, we've been, let's back this train up. Since forever, I've been wanting to have my own property for my horses. We bought where we are, and to give everybody perspective, we bought this beautiful little rancher in our little town, but it's on 0.2 acres. There's no horses around here. And it's on a cul-de-sac, and it's in town, which has been amazing for, so many reasons. It's a beautiful little neighborhood. We love it. And we have a herd of 3. They don't live at home. Then they've moved now, 3 times in the last couple of years. Like, it's just been a lot, and we're ready. And so the summertime, the ball started really honestly rolling, where I was sort of getting the hits, like, okay, something's coming. All right. And I'm pretty intuitive. So I was like, all right, this is interesting. What's this going to be? And we, starting to put our feelers out, looking at places. October-ish, we got a mortgage broker, have a great realtor. We started, doing that process, looking more seriously. And just, fast forward, getting our house prepared, kind of understanding, okay, we're going to have to sell. Like, that's going to be, we're not going to be able to make this leap without selling. What does that look like? So January comes around, I go to Montreal for a week for a course, and I as I'm gone, my partner is literally staging the house and getting photos done with the realtor, because we have gone and seen prior to my trip the place that I know in my heart is the place. So, but we have to wait because I have this this class that I need to go and do for osteopathy.
Such a horse person. It's like, oh, I'm on the precipice of the most important life step of my adult life. Everyone just down tools for a hot sec. I'm just going to go over here and learn something more about horses for 10 minutes and come back. Okay, everyone in a holding pattern.
Pretty much.
It's very relatable. Yeah.
I'll be gone for 6 days. I'll be
Yeah.
back. And it was good because it was actually an osteopathy course, and it's been such an important series for me. It's brain work and it's like vitality work and clearing, and this was transgenerational. It was like super profound. Anyways, come back and hit the ground running by Thursday. So I come home Monday. By Thursday, our place is listed, up for sale, rolling, and we've put in an offer on this farm. And that was, so we're talking like January 24th. Today is the 16th of February. Since that point, we have to get our financing secure, all the things for that, as well as show our house, which for anybody who has done this, big deal to, it takes us like 2 hours to prepare for every showing, mopping the floors and all the things. When you have animals, it's like chaos.
Gross.
And so, yeah, so here we are, we got an offer within 2.5 weeks, which is just like a miracle.
Blessing.
And it's a 2-week, they take 2 weeks to get the subjects off. So they're, subject for financing, subject for inspection. So we're right now, we're 10 days away from finding out whether this house is sold. And if it doesn't sell, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, by the time this podcast comes out, everyone's going to know.
Everyone's going to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone's going to know by then. And go to my social media.
And find out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
what
either
happened.
say I'm completely heartbroken or...
Right.
So yeah, that is the thick of it that we're in right now. The what's referred to as the messy middle, or like this space right now where there's nothing. We have to hurry up and wait, and there's really not anything I can do to, like, I want to control everything right now. I just feel like I just want to control all the things, and there's nothing I can control. I can't even really start packing. Or completely planning, even though I want to so badly. So it's just, like a real test. Is this a test?
It is a test
of my resource.
Yes.
And my resilience and my regulation and
determination,
tenacity, all
tenacity.
The things.
Yes.
Because there's part of me that's like, oh my God, this is really so much. And then there's a part of me that just keeps reaching forward into like the end of this rainbow. There could be very likely, 5 acres, a little adorable barn for the girls, an amazing home on the trails, and like my freaking dream come true. That's where we're at.
Everyone
right
tells a story about dreams coming true. In my experience, having made several of my dreams come true and continuing to do so, it requires of us a Herculean effort that most people just are not willing, able, prepared, or resourced enough to put in.
Yeah.
Because if you're expecting the process of achieving your dreams to feel dreamy, you're dreaming, as we say in Australia. You're dreaming. I remember when I was waiting for the mortgage approval to come through on my place. Because you've been with me when I was in the sticks, had nothing, no home, in the middle, in the liminal spaces, because that's what we're talking about, liminal spaces. And guys, we're not just talking about Alexa and Lockie and our dream to have horse farms, talk about first world problems. We're talking about change, dream chasing, being in these sticky in the middle spaces, whether you're trying to change your horsemanship, trying to have a cultural shift around horses, trying to change from one discipline to another, for some people, it's as simple as putting on a different color saddle pad brings up an existential crisis, or just trying to change tack in your boarding barn without having everyone, cast you out socially, for example. That's a reality for some people. But I remember when I was waiting for the mortgage to come through, the application process took 9 months because I needed paperwork from 3 different countries that all had to be sworn, translated, and apostilled into Spanish, from Polish and from English, from Australia. I needed all sorts of paperwork. And I was waiting for approval on the mortgage. But at the same time as I was waiting for approval on the mortgage, my horse Sereno was in hospital getting castrated. So during that, while he was recovering from anesthesia, I'm checking my phone, wondering, did I get my mortgage yet? So it was a pretty charged day for me. I'll just say that much. I'm looking at him straddled, under general anesthesia, blah, 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 thinking, am I going to get this home approval? Because me taking that horse on from the number one equestrian influencer, conversations between me and Matt, not to put too fine a point on it, was tacitly predicated upon Matt's knowledge that I don't have a home now, but I soon will. Yeah, I can give him a good home. Sure. Don't have it yet. Don't even have the mortgage yet. Sure, I can give him a good home. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's saying, oh, show me what kind of places you're looking at. He's asking me what my budget is. He was really paying attention. And I thought, if I have a wah-wah situation over this, it's curtains in some respects. So it was a pretty charged time. And I remember I wrote an irate Karen style email to my mortgage advisor. I was polite, but I just said something like, okay, we've been waiting longer than expected. I'm now going to proceed as if they're not going to approve the mortgage. I would like to pull the trigger on making applications with other banks and moving forward with other banks, because that process is going to take another 6 months to move forward with another bank, which was exactly what my mortgage advisor did not want to happen. I was like, we're just going to go forward with another bank. Screw this other bank. They're screwing us around. Had a nap, woke up from the nap, mortgage approved. The minute I released it, surrendered it to the universe and just went, I've done everything I can do.
Yep.
I really have done everything I can do, and I've surrendered. The minute I surrendered, took a nap, woke up, there it was.
Uh-huh. Yep. Wow.
And for me, that's what this change all my life has been about. I can tell story after story after story like that you do everything you can and then surrender. Some people say, oh, it's manifesting. Oh, you manifested that farm. The last time someone said you manifested that farm to me, I had to just sit on my hands. Alexa, you know me well enough by now that was not the right call, because it's like, manifest? You think I burnt some sage and sat in a room cross-legged and thought about this? No, I hauled ass, chopped wood and carried water. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easeful. It was almost me being coercive with the universe.
Yeah.
Understand?
I get it.
Right.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, that's been Patrick's and our motto is like, I remember one time way back when I told a client, she was moving through a divorce and it was real sticky and crummy at the end. And I said to her, the image I have in my mind is one of those, the things with the massive wheels. What are those called? Just like the machines.
Like the mills.
Well, no, the ones that like put road down and they just.
Oh, yeah. Like steamroller.
And I'm like, okay, honey, I want you to be the steamroller, one step in front of the other. You're just going to keep on going, and you're going to just like as slow as it needs to go, you're going forward. And that's the feeling that I have about this process is like, because we've gotten to some like, our mortgage broker will call and like, you need this. And I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get that? Like, and then it's like, I have a panic and then I'm like, okay, we're going to make this happen. And then it's like steamroller moving ahead. Like we're going to just
Yeah.
make the call, do the thing, figure it out. Like this is the goal. We're moving towards it. So it's been, yeah, it's been like a real, like I said before, the test, right? It's like, how bad do you want this? How bad do you
Right.
want this?
Right.
Because like it's not going to be easy, you know? And I also put it out there. I was like, if this is not the place for us, if it's too hard, if it's not going to work, like then universe, you know, throw like a real obvious major snag in our path.
Rejection is protection.
Absolutely. Right? Because yeah, we don't want to be
Stuck in
way
something.
over our heads
That's right.
or whatever, stuck in something. In this process, and you can relate, it's like it's just been like, okay, yeah, it's tricky. It's like hard and sticky sometimes, but there's been no big no's. And so it's like, okay, we just keep steamrolling
I'm
down the road.
crossing all my fingers and toes with you. You said something earlier, hurry up and wait. And I want to speak to that because if you want to do really, it's been my experience that if you want to do really hard stuff with your life and create a really big change or rise above your station, you cannot take your eye off the ball for a moment, even if the ball is stationary. An example, in my mortgage application process, 3 countries, multiple paperwork, apostilled. I had to go to this public notary and that public notary, and I had to get on planes and go to this country to get that paper and wait 6 weeks for that paper from that government organization in Poland. And then I think they needed a DNA test and maybe my firstborn child. I don't know. They were just,
Everything.
It was everything. And so you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And let's say it's Friday afternoon at 2:30. Spain has a siesta. So from 2 until 4, nothing really happens. But if you're a bureaucrat or if you work in a bank, you usually finish work at about 3:30 or 4 o'clock at the latest. And then you go home and you don't see them until Monday morning, 9 o'clock. So it's a Friday afternoon. It's 2:30. I've just come in from trimming a horse, hauling water, pulling in hay, training, riding, 4 client sessions, and I haven't eaten all day, and I'm got dirt under my fingernails, and I'm tired. I just want to shower and have a smoothie and have a nap, and then wake up again and do it all again. And I get an email, ping, on my phone, and I just flip open my phone as I'm walking between the stable. Mortgage advisor, bank needs such and such paper, and I went, I have to stop everything, no matter what I'm doing, to get this paper now. Where is this paper? Crap, it's in my storage container. Get in the car, drive an hour to the storage container, get the thing, scan it on my phone, send it to the mortgage advisor. Mortgage advisor sends it straight to the bank, because if we don't get that paper to them by 4 o'clock, they don't see the paper until Monday morning. They don't see it till Monday morning. It's not until Thursday that they actually do something with it the next week. But if I send it to them today, it means they're probably going to submit that paper through today before they go home for the weekend, right? So that 1 hour could save me a week. And that week is huge when I'm dealing with an upcoming clinic tour and a deadline with the home move and financial deadlines and horse deadline. It's like there is no time to waste. But that was predicated on 2 weeks prior where I'm in a holding pattern and I'm getting no communication from the mortgage.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. Like the day we were finishing our finance. I mean, it's hilarious. I don't know how people work in this industry, by the way. Like kudos to mortgage brokers and real estate agents and all these people that like, I don't understand because my nervous system says, you get it, like this sort of thing. So, our financing is coming due. Subject removal is 5 p.m. And at 11 p.m., my mortgage broker is messaging me for documents. I'm on the road from the barn. Panic, she's messaging me for documents that she needs to then send to the underwriter of our mortgage for 5 p.m. deadline. And I call her and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we have no time. And she's like, we have loads of time, loads of time. I'm like,
What?
excuse me? Oh yeah, no, we've got like 6 hours, loads of time. I'm like,
What? Excuse me.
you are built of different stuff than me, ma'am.
Yeah,
First of all, and but yeah, no, it's like, yeah, even with showings, it's like, okay, somebody wants to book a showing, they're a cash buyer. Sorry, everybody, I got to move my sessions because
that's
like
right.
this is what needs to happen right
That's
now.
right.
And it was like the sacrifices, yeah, in the face of the big dream. It's like we just got to do what we got to do, like whatever that looks like,
And
you
if you're
know.
self-employed and you deal directly with your clients personally, you develop some kind of personal relationship with
Yep.
them, and they become equally as invested in your dream as you do. And
Which is a
they
part of all of
part
this
of it,
stress.
and they have to
Like,
like yield to you moving sessions around and all this sort of stuff. I remember when I was a teenager, my first job was at McDonald's. I remember the power of the difference between a 1 minute wait on a cheeseburger or a 6 minute wait on those cheeseburgers. If I said 6 minute wait on the nuggets, fail, jail, social, emotional, professional jail at McDonald's to say 6 minute wait on the nuggets. They're like, may as well be next century then. What are you even doing? Have you only
what kind of
watching the
fast
stock?
food joint is this?
Exactly. So speaking to these in between places, just to shift
Yeah.
it off our personal stories for a while. And listen, you write me when you know what's going on because I'm
Oh,
I'm invested now.
immediately. Oh yeah, and this is the other thing. It's like there's a lot of people invested. I'm like, oh crap! If I have to be like, sorry guys, it didn't work out. Like that's gonna really suck.
I learned to be careful of who I invited to be invested in that. Because
Yeah.
there are some people whom, at least from my story, they were like, oh, good for you. Grumble, grumble, grumble. And I learned not to update
Yes.
them on what was going on because it was bad juju somehow. And I at some point I became very discreet about what I said to whom and when and how much I divulged and when.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't announce that we had secured this place until I had signed the final notary, the last one, because there were two. When I went to Madrid and signed the last one and had the key in my hand from the owner and shook their hand, that's when a week later I published it on social media and went, okay, this is happening. But these in between stages are, well, not to put too fine a point on it, they suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. And it's like, I'm trying to improve my life. Why does my life feel worse? I'm trying to improve my horsemanship. Why does my horsemanship feel worse? I'm trying to improve my horsekeeping. So why does it feel worse? I'm trying to have a better relationship with my horse. So why does my horse appear to hate me? This is something that's universal. It's same with industry reform that you and I are both contributing to. Show me a single industry that exacted real reform without ruffling feathers everywhere and without offending people. It doesn't happen.
No, there
So
has to be this spot. There has to be this crummy spot. I mean, we're literally, you know, for the transformation that happens in these spaces, right? We don't really see it, but like it's a you know it's a space that forms something else within us, right? If we allow it to, right? Because often what happens is people start the change, say a horsekeeping change, and then they get into that spot that's like this, my horses, something, this isn't working, they're not as happy, like something's going on, I'm in the like crunchy space of like trying to figure this out and get my routine dialed, and like, and it just feels awful in that space. And then how many people go, oh nope, this is not for me. And then walk it back, right? Walk it back.
and they'll call that
Because
intuition. They'll say, well, intuitively it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
You sure? Or were you just experiencing like a crunchy liminal change space?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because
what
often that's what it is.
so
Yeah.
what sort of change are we undergoing when we arrive in these zones?
It's been so interesting for me because, of course, I've gotten really good at tracking my nervous system. Um,
Yes.
right? Really, really good over the last few years, especially with everything that's gone on. And, so when I watch myself in this space, it's number one, have I really, really taken the time to find my tools? Like, even
Ah,
with Patrick today, I just said, yeah, what I'm doing right now is I'm literally like, in every moment, I'm tracking my tension levels. I'm seeing where my shoulders are at. I'm releasing my hands. I am letting go of my face. I am letting go of my belly. Like, I am, working my body in every moment of this experience, because if I didn't, my anxiety,
mm,
my worry, my uncertainty would burn me out completely. It just, because it's all consuming. And so I think, yeah, it's not always on that level, but I think if we're not resourced, yes, stuff that Lockie and I are speaking about, yeah, we need to be resourced on many levels, like financially and family support and all these other things, but then also, am I resourced in my nervous system? Am I resourced with my healthcare team? Do I have people that can come, and can I offload some of these tasks, these, can I delegate? Like, all of these are resources. Like, right now, Thursday, I've got a somatic experiencing session with my therapist. Friday, I had a Reiki session. Yesterday, I went to a sound bath. I'm like, okay,
my tools.
we need to, I've been like reaching out to my girlfriends, like, to have those times where I know it gives me comfort, it gives me support, it gives me strength, because we're not meant to go through it alone, these kinds of times ever. And we need to be, feeling our feet on the ground. Okay. And, is everything okay? Like, I look around and I'm like, yeah, everything's okay. At the end of the day, everything's okay here. Nobody's dying, nobody's hurt. We're okay. Um,
Well, I've seen you at your rock bottom.
yeah,
I've nursed you at your rock bottom.
you sure have. Yeah,
And part of me has been and is concerned for you, with you, frankly,
hmm
that after this process, this crunchy liminal space, and you have your absolution and you have the home and the homecoming and the arrival, and you put your bags down, that your nervous system will just go and scene crash, you
right.
know? And
I do know.
you do
Yes,
know more than
I do
anyone.
know.
And it's so great to hear you say, no, I'm taking steps now to at least soften that landing, at least
Exactly.
soften that landing, if not to completely land smoothly, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
land
that's
smoothly.
that's the goal. I want to come down like, some beautiful
That's
bird
it.
and just,
Or like a
hey,
very good plane with a very good pilot.
absolutely a
Mm,
very good pilot. And just like, oh yeah, here I am doing the thing. And obviously take a breath or two for sure, and like enjoy and be in it. But yeah, like that's the thing, if we're wiping ourselves out with these transitions,
mm.
then I think there's other questions to ask, right?
Well, I feel very attacked right now because I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never been wiped out from transitions ever. No, I am learning about that, though. I had a dip after we landed at this place with the horses. Once the horses came home, there was one afternoon where I just felt really odd. And I'm like, am I depressed? No, I'm not depressed. I need to go to bed. So I took one paracetamol, water, dinner, went to bed like 5 p.m. and just slept it off, woke up, and I'm like, okay, what's next? So that's as bad as it got for me here. But I'm still in a liminal space because now that I'm here, it's like, oh, now I want to make what's here better. I want to upgrade. And that people like us, that kind of never ends.
It's like, when does that stop, truly?
That doesn't end, but there does come a place where you look at it and you go, it's not perfect, but I love it. I'm just going to maintain it where it's at. I look at my tack room and I go, it's not perfect. I'd like this, I'd like that, but I love it. It's so cute. I walk in there and I have zero anxiety about changing it somehow. And until I have that level of feeling that I don't want to change it anymore, I can't help but want to roll my sleeves up, whether it's changing a horse, developing my riding, developing my business, working on my track, working with clients too. And that's why I'm so far working busily as a coach and a trainer, because I apply that same task to people. When people stand in front of me and go, well, and I go, no, and up, come on, let's figure it out. It's figure outable. Don't you want something more? Aren't you curious about what else could happen here? Well, I'm uncomfortable about the change. The change is scary. It makes me feel this, that, and the other. So yes, we could feel that, or we could decide that this is good information for you and we could assimilate it. I had that conversation with a vet when I was describing to him what I've learned about emotion recently. I learned that emotions are not triggered, they're predicted. That shook my world for a hot second. And then I presented this speaking with a vet, and he had this look on his face like I'd slapped his mother. And he said to me, my whole career, I've been working on the notion of horses being triggered by things, and it's informed all of my handling of every horse ever. And you're telling me that my entire career has been based on bad information? And he started to spiral right in front of me. And this is a grown-ass man, middle-aged man. Yeah. And I went, yep, you could choose that, or you could decide that, hey, this is some interesting information. I'll look into it further and maybe even onboard it today. And say to my clients, hey, I've learned something new. Well, guess what they'll all say?
We're going to take a break. Listening to this podcast free to air, and it is such an honor to present these episodes to anyone who has the time or desire to listen to them. It took me several years to have the ability to have a podcast, because for a number of years I simply didn't have the time or the luxury. Even today, I edit and publish these episodes using my personal time to do so. And listen, I'm not complaining, because this is a really, really wonderful way to spend my free time. But I just want you as the listener to be aware that nothing in this world is for free. Someone is paying for you to listen here for free. And that's me. I'm paying so that you can listen here for nothing. The only way I'm able to produce podcasts is if I have enough work happening in the background to facilitate the time spent to put these episodes together. I have no sponsors. Nobody is hiring me to make these. I make these podcasts because as soon as I can create free materials, I will. I have a YouTube channel for the same reason, but I hardly ever use it or put anything out there because I just don't have the luxury of time to spend making those videos properly for YouTube, even though I want to. I'm hoping to change that in the future. So if you're listening, I want you to know about ways that you can support this podcast, which enables it to continue into the future. The easiest way is to sign up for my Patreon, which I call my video library. I put new content there twice per week, every week, and there is an enormous list of educational materials there already. Very soon, that video library is transforming into a vastly improved platform called the Emotional Horsemanship School, and subscribers to the Patreon will get early bird special access to it very soon. Subscriptions start as little as €5 per month, and you can sign up for 1 month or 12, no pressure. And if you're listening to this episode beyond the year of 2025, the Emotional Horsemanship School is probably already open. So if you wish to support my work on a budget, that is the best way to do it, and you are helping to keep this podcast going. The link for sign up is in the notes of the show below, and you can also go to emotionalhorsemanship.com and navigate to the video library page or the Emotional Horsemanship School page and follow all of the instructions for sign up. Thank you for supporting my work and allowing me to continue bringing these amazing people to you free to the air.
And now let's return to my conversation with Alexa Linton as we discuss change and how difficult that can be for a lot of us. And say to my clients, hey, I've learned something new. Well, guess what they'll all say? Okay.
Yeah.
We have these relationships to change where it's like, well, I've set my relationship to myself and my entire identity around this one thing. And so changing that is somehow a lack of integrity, or I'm violating my community, or trespassing against my family lineage. I mean, it can get really, really messy.
We're seeing, in the world right now on a broader level.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking
when
about.
Someone gets dug in on a belief system.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea.
Are you talking about Western society's little experiment with fascism at present moment? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I am maybe possibly referring to such things. Yes. And yes, it's and I see it though, like you say, with horse keeping, with horse training, where it's like the tradition, it's
right.
like, oh my gosh. And I know this is getting a little off topic, but it does relate to change.
Yes.
Can I embrace new information?
Right.
Maybe not embrace, but like, can I receive it? Can I, like you say, onboard it? And can I shift gears? Can I be in this space for a time as I change internally? I mean, that's really what's happening. Like when I'm making this leap right now, I think about going backwards sometimes, because I think, okay, we still have this house. We could stay here. We could do this. And then I think, fuck that. Like,
yes.
Like, no.
Right.
No, I am a changed being. The person, the Alexa that has lived here for the last 3.5 years
is gone.
I am no longer her. Even though we haven't made this full change. She's gone, and I'm just like naming that right in this moment.
Wow.
As I talk to you, she's gone. So whatever way we're going, it's forward. It's forward, baby. And so that's like, I think one of the reasons why people fear change is because they, somewhere inside of them, innately know that once they embark on the journey of the transition and the change, it shifts something fundamental in their wiring, in their being, to be on that journey. And it is almost impossible to turn. I would say impossible to turn back to what you once were.
It's these little deaths of the identity.
Exactly. The shedding of the skin. It's like, that Alexa is gone. This Alexa is now.
I read something somewhere that resonated with me, that loss induces some form of panic and or fear in the brain. right? So grief is actually a form of panic. Panic is loss. Loss. I've lost it. I've lost it. I've lost it. It's panic. I'm panicking because I've lost it. And your brain still experiences that pang of panic even when you've chosen to lose the thing. Even when you've chosen, I want to lose it and I want to move into something else, the loss of it still evokes somewhere in our neurological circuitry the potential for panic to be present. It won't be 100% of cases, but it's a trend that's been observed. And that's always stuck with me, even when training horses. If you're asking horses to let go, let's say, of a bolting pattern, when they let go of the bolting pattern, that's not good for them. They'll panic for a moment when they're sort of floating in the middle, don't know what's next. They'll panic.
Yeah, what do I do? What do I do instead of that?
What do I do? So what do we do, Alexa? That's the question.
Well, I think one thing that would be great to highlight here is that over my years of working with horses and humans, one of the things that I've noticed, and it myself, is we are down to, I would say, down to the last one of us, terrified of the unknown. And it's that unknown place that we're adventuring into. We're kind of going, okay, when we're making a change, we don't necessarily have the path. Like, it's not like, oh, this is the exact path. These are the exact things that are going to happen on it. It's going to look exactly like this and feel like this. Like, no, it's literally like, I'm in a forest I've never been in before with animals that I don't know and trees that I don't recognize. And what the heck? Like, where am I going? And so what do we sit into in those moments? Like, where do we resource? Well, a part of it is like, we come back to our sense of capacity. That's what I've been really seeing. I am actually a capable human being, that it is able to adapt and find different solutions for things that maybe I have never encountered before. Interesting, because oftentimes we don't believe that of ourselves. We don't really, when it all boils down, consider ourselves capable.
I empathize with all of that, but I don't relate to it.
I love it.
If I look back on my life until now, and I just look at my track record, not what I think or feel about what I've done, only what I've done and the choices I've made, and then the choices I've actually walked out on. All of them involved saying, where is everyone else? You're over there doing what everyone else is doing? Great, I'm going over here instead. Every single choice has been the antithesis of what is expected, what is currently acceptable, what is known to my family, to my friends, to my colleagues, to my in every realm. And in conversations with my friend Emily Frost, who I know you know, when I was at Emily's Frost house, her boyfriend Kyle said to her in the car, how long are you going to wait until you sit him down and do his star chart? How long is it going to take? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How long until you corner him and get his stuff? And as soon as she could, she got me in her kitchen, cleared the decks, locked the door, sat me there for 2 hours and did my full star chart. She's very, without referencing a single book or note, she was extemporaneously explaining in explicit detail exactly who I am based upon my numbers. It was incredible. She's coming on the pod.
Yeah, Emily, I need to come visit you.
Yeah. And I learned, you can book her for this service, but I learned that is actually written in my stars, that there's a deep, deep rebellious note to my nature that is housed in a part of me that is pure, unreachable, untouchable, and not fuck withable.
Yeah.
Can't touch it. and it's not surrounded by anything else, and it's not on a journey either. It's complete. That's
Yeah.
it. Then there's all these Cancerian layers of needing emotion and support, and then there's Aries on the front and many other things beside. But when I was 15, I said to my parents, I want to move to Germany. And they turned around in the car and went, what? What? Said, yeah, I want to move to Germany. I can't work in this country as an artist. I have to leave. They went, okay,
Wow.
figure it out. So I did. 18, moved to Switzerland. I didn't know anyone in Europe. I had exchanged 5 or 6 emails with the secretary of the school. That was it. And I had an address to the boarding house. That was it. And I showed up with a suitcase. Then moved to Poland, first Australian to be in that opera house. Moved to Spain. Even the way I train horses and what I'm trying to do with my work now, it's in the same kind of manner. And sometimes it works against me. Sometimes I have to sit with, well, it's okay to sit around the campfire with everybody else. It's okay. It's okay. Have a marshmallow. Sit down and, and sing the guitar song with everyone else. It's okay. You can sit there for a second. You don't have to constantly haul ass, do an about face and go the other direction. But having lived that experience, what I can tell people about that experience is that when you're actually making the decision, you very infrequently are aware of how it's scary. When you're actually making the choice, you're not actually scared. When you're making the choice is made through hope. The choice is made through your higher self. The choice is made through wanting to shift your template. The choice is made through the desire to rise above your station and have something better than what's in front of you right now. It is enterprising. It is hopeful. It is extremely positive, and it's extremely powerful. It's not actually scary to make that decision. And when I meet people who are scared just to make the choice, I'm like, well, because you don't know that the choice is actually not to be scared of. The fear comes after you've made the choice and you go, well, shit, I've got all this to do now, and there's some consequences, and now I've got to patch things up. But in that actual moment, it's actually extremely hopeful. And if you make those decisions based on hope, it's like you've cast everything in the right direction, and it will line up for you if you've made the decision.
It does through that space. I mean, I'll tell this little story about the house. I'd been there twice before. It's owned by people that I know. When we went and walked it again, Patrick and I, through that lens of is this our spot? We knew immediately. We'd had another place kind of fall through previously to that. And we were like, we don't want to get too excited. I remember we went and walked the trails nearby, and I looked at Patrick and I'm like, okay, babe, I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's what we're going to do right now. And he turned to me and he's like, thumbs up. And I'm like, I just knew in that moment. I was like, yep, this is happening. I could feel it in my bones. I could feel it, just like when we arrived here. I could feel it. I walked in this house. I said, yeah, this is my house. And I think, when I think every listener knows that, well, maybe not everyone, but many know that feeling. It's like you see a horse. I saw Gwynna, a photo of her. Yeah, we need to go pick her up. That's my horse. She needs to come home. So there's like that. What is that? Like that space in us. I don't know. I think of it like the full body. Yes. The full body. Like, this is the fucking thing. This is my path. I see where I'm going now. I wasn't quite sure until this exact moment. And now I know. That feeling for me has led me my whole life.
Right.
As well. And I think it's so funny because for those of you that don't know, both Lockie and I are Aries. Mm-hmm. I think we would be placed firmly in the category of the keener overachiever human.
I feel very attacked right now. How dare you?
yeah, there's a sense, like, I think you can absolutely relate to that. It's like you stand on a piece of land and you're like, yep,
Uh-huh.
yep, this is it. I know. And that's been so interesting with this transition because it's been, this timeline, this like very human timeline of banks and all the things. But there's this part of me that's like, yeah, yeah,
Okay, so let me add this bit of nuance here. There's
yeah,
a difference
please.
between this feeling we're describing, where it's like a depth charge, a resonance, an alignment, a choice made through hope, a choice made very individually or with your most dear about where we're going and what's for us. And then the second element is about getting the rest of the world to behave
Totally,
and
that
get
part is so
out
annoying.
of the way. Don't you understand? This is deep resonance work. Can you just move out of the way and do your job and let it happen? And just getting the rest of the universe, it's like weed whacking. You're in the Amazon with a machete. Get out of my way because I need to go to the right. And that's the forceful part of this that some people shy back from. They'll have a resonance and it's like, well, resonance never achieved. It's like failure to launch, crop failure. We never got there. Well, you have to have both. You need the tenacity to continue
Yep.
and to ask of others, of the
Yeah.
world, what you need and want, and that they play their part in it or not. It's kind of like a shit or get off the pot question.
Yes.
Contribute or move out of my way, but don't stand in my way saying you're contributing when you're not. So like incompetency with paperwork, I get very problematic about that. But it's like you need to do your part or step out of the way because this is deep resonance work that we're dealing with here. And we're like bulls in a china shop with Aries. Yes, so it's a little bit
Oh.
that way. And that's not everyone's style. I found Tauruses to be very good partners at times like this. They're grounded, steady sense of practicality, just like one foot in front of the other, very steady, has been very, very helpful. But balancing those two parts have been really, really valuable and important. You have to have both. I remember also just before I found this place, I was actually looking for about a year and a half. I made 4 trips up to this region to look for places. There was one place I found that I loved it, but it wasn't as good as this place. The land was like Jurassic Park for the horses. It was so gorgeous, and I still weep for that park land that I could have had for them. But the house would have needed major renovation. It was move-inable in some of the rooms. Other rooms needed basically full everything. But it was at a price point where that was possible. But I fell in love with this place and I thought, this resonates. This is it. It's the one. I had that like sensation, but it was like a shell. It was like shallow. It was like a hollow hologram of that feeling. And in retrospect, I found that farm when I was in a very desperate place in my life. And I viewed that farm through the lens of the desperation I was in. And it felt like the first lifeboat.
Completely. Like, I need to get on this one.
The first lifeboat. So I'm like, there might not be another because I'm gasping. I'm gasping for anything out here. So I built this storyline around the resonance of it, but realizing in retrospect it was a decision made in desperation, and they never really come to fruition. You've got to get to that place where you can make that decision through that hopeful resonance. And that's why you're working with all of your tools so that you're keeping yourself in that zone and you're not like, oh, I've got to push it through at this time scale because I'm reaching the end of what my nervous system can tolerate. It's like, no, I've got capacity. So if this little round of paperwork falls dead in the water, I can restart it. We can recover. We can rebound. We can look at other options. If this farm falls down, okay, I've got capacity. Let's go out there and find something else, because you're not in that place of desperation. And because you're not, I know you're going to be just fine. And probably the next time I see you in the flesh, you'll be pouring me a glass of something at your kitchen table at the new place and gloating over your cute little barn, and we'll be sharing stories about, track surfacing and all sorts of stuff. We're going on trail walk. That's going to happen.
Oh, you're going to be on my pony cart with me.
Stop it. Stop that right now, because the hopeful resonance that I could experience driving a pony cart, it might
with
become
a Gwinnabum.
I can't. No, I can't do that, because I might not ever recover from that. I don't think my nervous system could recover. Frankly, I don't know what would happen.
You'd implode from cuteness.
I'd flip my whole farm upside down and turn it into a pony ranch. I mean,
you'd have minis all over the place.
I think there's a time and a place in my life, and I'm an old man, and I don't want to be mucking out full size horse poo anymore. I'll just have minis. That'll work.
The cutest poop. I mean, along with the cutest ears, the cutest poop.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You just put a lower line of electric down the bottom and just put them in, and it's like you didn't need to buy a bigger farm. The farm's already 4 times bigger, relative.
Completely. So you can have so many. It's amazing. Anyways, we went on a pony tangent, but yes,
we did.
Yes. I can absolutely see that as well. Yeah.
These two elements.
By my pool, by the way, if we get this farm. So just
that would be lovely. Well, closing thoughts, Alexa, about this subject, about change. What do you want people to take away from our mutual exploration today about this crunchy liminal space we're all trying to avoid? We're all trying to gloss it over or pretend it doesn't exist, or when we get there, we don't have a positive relationship to it. We reject it. We try to change it rather than just doing the work. What do you want people to know about all of this the most?
It's like speaking to myself in this moment. Hey,
do it.
Yeah. So if I was to give myself from higher self advice right now in this moment, I would say to, number one, like lean on my people, like in a good way, like in a, but like I have an amazing friend, Carmen, and she talks about essentially these ways that we sort of build. I'm totally blanking on her word right now, and that's so bad. But we just build our own inner capacity and our own inner strength, and that's what I've really been coming back to. It's like I'm doing the practices, I'm doing the work, I'm taking the baths, I'm taking the walks, I'm like really settling into myself for this moment. I always, I have that like, this too shall pass, like kind of running through of like, yeah, like this is only a moment, because I think often as humans we get, I know this was like so true in my health event. Like I was like, I'm going to be like this forever. That's kind of how it felt in the moment. And I had to really, really remind myself, no, this is the amazing thing about being human, is this too shall pass. Whether it's the most epic moment in our life or the most hard moment, it will shift, and we'll look back and go, oh yeah, wow, you remember that time? It was so challenging, and wow, wasn't that crazy how that worked out? So I think doing what you need to do to find center, because like you said, the scarcity thing comes up, right? And you start grabbing and reaching for things that are not actually in true resonance to you, because you feel like, oh, there's nothing else, right? There's nothing else. I just need to do something. I would, like I so resonate with that part. And it's so important to just sit back. Like I have this practice that I do sometimes when I gotta get really Aries on myself, and I feel like my astral body is like way out in front of me. Like,
I feel very attacked.
You know that
right
feel?
Now.
Yeah,
very attacked.
And I'm like, okay, it's kind of like, okay, everybody. I just need everybody to come back over ourselves here. We just need to like be over our feet, over our center, all together now. retrieving my emotional body, retrieving my, these parts of
Pain
me,
body.
and like
Yeah.
pain body, all the things. And
Pain
like,
body, stop talking to the mortgage broker. Get back over here.
exactly.
Get back over here.
Yeah. Come on in, be here. Right.
Right.
And that for me is such an important practice. Anything that helps with that is my go-to, and yeah, because we just need to be really good to ourselves through these moments, acknowledging that they're really, really hard. um and they're worth it. They're worth it.
I
Yeah.
want people to know that stretching yourself is okay.
Hmm.
When I started developing splits, when you first do it, it's like, oh, is my body dying? Is my body dying? Am I breaking my legs? Is that a tearing hamstring? Did I just blow apart my pelvic floor? What is going on? And
Uh-huh.
then initially you have all of these experiences and your body grapples with these new sensations, which none of them are comfortable, especially because they're unfamiliar. But I want people to know that unfamiliar and uncomfortable are two different things, and to give the unfamiliar the benefit of the doubt. And if you don't know what to do for sure, hold. Don't retreat.
Yes.
Don't retreat. Don't advance. Hold. That's what my mother said to me. It's like Braveheart. You know that moment in Braveheart where he's saying to hold, 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 and the cavalry's charging? Hold the pattern where you're at
Yep.
until, and it's the same with learning how to stretch. Hold it, and then you feel the muscles release and you can give into it a little more and you go, oh, that's what that is now. Now I understand. So I want people to know, as someone who knows how to stretch outside of myself and stay there for an inordinate amount of time and then come back. But I want people to know that it's okay to be stretching. It's okay to be stretching because the more you stretch, the more flexible you get. And if you stretch and then you go out there and you do stuff when you're stretching, you gain strength and the flexibility, and you can do really cool stuff outside of your current template. And that is really, really exciting and interesting. And it's a way to make art out of your life or your body. And a lot of horses tend to like that also, and are actually willing to learn how to do that with you. That's what I want people to know. I also, one last thing, would like people to know that you hold if you don't know what to do entirely, but also do never, never, ever neglect the work that has to be done after you've set that hopeful resonance. So you set that hopeful resonance and you've set that stretching point. But the work to be done between now, where you are, and where you've set the objective to be is enormous. There will be many false summits. And that if you want to not be overwhelmed, focus on the foot in front of you and take that next step and take that next step. And don't stop taking that next step. Every day, a step towards your goal. And you'll look back and be amazed at what you can do. That's what I want people to know about those bases.
I'm giving you a round of applause for that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, that one step at a time advice is life changing. That's exactly what we've been doing through this whole process, and that's how I've lived. When someone looks at you or I have a lot of people are like, how do you do what you do? Like, how do you create what you create? Like, and I say literally
step at a time.
One step at a time. One step at a time. I just move towards it like that steamroller. And then all of a sudden, like you say, look back, you're like, holy crap, I created that. Wow. Wow.
It also helps that we both don't have human children.
Oh, yeah. Very helpful.
That really, really helps because I'm not trying to like raise another human being to like not be a serial killer. So we've actually got that capacity. But for people who are trying to achieve stuff and have families, I have so much respect. So, I mean, and still
Bow
ride
down.
and still have horses and hold down a relationship or be self-employed and have a business. That is absolutely amazing behavior as far as I'm concerned. Well, Alexa, we covered a lot of ground. Let me know.
Covered so much ground.
Let me know how the next stage goes. I'm crossing all my fingers and toes. I have a feeling there's going to be a few more spanners in the works.
I think so too.
That's what my intuition's telling me. There's going to be a few more spanners. You don't know what they are yet. So I think that focus on capacity is going to be really vital. But I'm excited because I know you're going to see it through.
Yeah. We'll keep you all posted. You'll know for sure soon,
Beautiful.
Friends. Soon, 10 days. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well,
Yay, thank you.
this is the part of the podcast where you say goodbye and plug what you need to plug. Where can people find you, and what have you got for them to play with?
Ooh, yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at Alexa Linton. I also have my brand new company, which Lockie was very pivotal in helping me to birth into the world, which is called Outside the Box Equine. So the website is outsidetheboxequine.com. And I have my brand new Build a Track System online course over there. So I
Build
also
a track system online course.
Online course. So
Huge.
It's got like case studies, so you can watch like track tours and integration videos, and yeah, there's lots of tutorials. I wanted to make it for those of us that are sort of really visual, experiential learners, like something that we can like really watch and see how others have done. Yeah, built their own tracks or done other things. So really excited about that. And I've included a couple of other courses of mine. My favorite kinetic communication course on applied kinesiology, and another online course that I've only ever offered in an apprenticeship, which is about kind of what we talked about today. It's called Redefining Equine. It's all about repairing and rewriting our story with horses. So so that's over there. And I'm very, very excited for that to get out into the world, that work. It's all about horse keeping in a different way. So yeah.
So important. So important.
So important.
I think you're a rock star. I love you. I love you. I think you're wonderful.
I love you too. Thanks. Ditto.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining me again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Such a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been the Emotional Horsemanship Podcast with myself, Lockie Phillips, and with my friend Alexa Linton. If you'd like to find out more about Alexa Linton and all that she has to offer, you can find her website in the show notes of this episode. And why don't you go ahead and subscribe and listen to the Whole Horse Podcast if you haven't already. Thanks for joining me, Alexa, and thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you next week.